If your social media feed is anything like mine, you've been seeing these book and tea holders all over your Facebook ads, and I decided that it's time to make one, and it's actually really simple. Let me show you how. I've had this piece of cherry sitting around in my lumber rack for a little while now. There's a fair bit of sapwood on it, especially on the one side, so hasn't gotten a lot of use yet. I think this board is going to be perfect for what we're going to do. So we're going overall 6 inches deep for the base by 12 inches. And right here, I have found the area. Everything is actually 6 inches and it fades off after that. The other thing to keep in mind is I do have this side here. Far less sapwood. Let's clean this edge up real quick. Okay, so some of the things that I'm seeing here, it appears even if I start on this end, I am going to lose basically all of this. It's a very, very thin amount of material. I'm going to show you the end grain and you'll see what I mean. We've got heartwood right here, but then we have all of our sapwood on the edges and it comes right to the corner on this side here. There's very little actual heartwood at the edge. So I think the safest bet is to go from this end here and just sort everything out from this side. So there's one, and then I am going to add just a little bit more onto that just for some safety, and then I'll come over here, do 2. So 12 inches and 12 inches, 6 inches deep, and a little bit of excess material here for our front pieces, and I actually should be able to get all of them out of this. So let's go ahead and chop this down on the miter saw.
I know a lot of you are just like me and have that one piece of wood sitting in your lumber racks that you haven't quite figured out the perfect use for. I had this piece of cherry, but I also have a piece of padauk and lacewood waiting for something special. So let's get the comment section going on this one. Share what you're saving for a special project.
The next thing that we need to do is we need to route this groove. This is for putting a tablet or any kind of e-reader in, and this is a 3/8 groove. You can totally do this on your table saw if you want to. You can also do it on a router table. We are going to a depth of 3/8 of an inch as well. So we'll go ahead and run a couple of these grooves and then we'll get to it. The fence is going to sit 5/16 of an inch away from the closest part of the bit. So I'll just rotate this like this. I even have a 5/16 setup block, so I'm going to use that between the fence and the router bit to set the distance here. And I lock that down. That is perfectly 5/16. Now it's time for us to put the indent in these bases. And for that, I'm going to create a jig. You can use a circle cutting jig on a trim router. You can use a CNC router, a Shaper Origin, a laser cutter, whatever you want. What I'm going to be doing is taking this 4-inch hole saw and I'm going to use it to cut a hole into a scrap piece of plywood. And then I'll use a template routing bit to transfer that template into these, and I'm going to go down about 1/8 of an inch. That's it. You don't need to go far. You're just creating an indent here. So let's head over to the drill press and cut that out.
This double-sided tape from X-Fasten is my absolute favorite. I've got affiliate links to it and other tools and accessories in this video down in the description. As an added bonus, using my links helps the channel, and I appreciate any help that you're willing to give.
So I've set my square just over 5 inches. I'm going to strike a line here. And what this line is where my cross pieces are going to go. That'll give me a nice little bit of space, especially if the mug is hanging off to the side here. Nice and even. It'll look really good. Start cutting out our pieces and get everything engraved and all of that. So let's get to it. So because I'm working with limited materials when it comes to the cherry I have, I ended up having to go a little bit thinner than I wanted to. I had some checking on the board I intended to use. That's just cracks coming up from the end. By the time that I got rid of all of that, all I had left was one piece like this. I cut it down the middle. I think I've ended up with something in the neighborhood of 11/32. I'm going to recommend that you go for probably about a 1/2 inch here. That's what my initial one is. And so the plans that will be available on my website, they will have exactly what those dimensions are for using 1/2 inch. I think we're going to be fine with this. It just means that our angles are going to be a little bit small. We'll end up with something looking a little bit more delicate, but I think I'm okay with that. We're going to give it our best go and see what happens. So I have run into a small little problem. Looks like I've undersized everything by about 5/16 of an inch. So I think how I am going to save this, and don't worry, I'll update the plans. I am going to use my front pieces as my back pieces, and I may have just enough from my kind of sapwoody piece to be able to get some decent material out of it. We'll have to see. So I'm going to mill this up. I'm going to cut it a little bit wider, and hopefully this will work. Stay tuned.
It did in fact work, and so here you're seeing me just cleaning up all my pieces with some hand tools, hand planes and card scrapers, and getting everything all nice and pretty so that we can finish this thing up. My goal for 2023 is to reach 2,000 subscribers here on YouTube. As of when I'm editing this video, we're sitting at 1,969. If you haven't subscribed yet, it would mean the world if you could click the subscribe button and help me reach 2,000.
So what I did find at this point is it's very handy to have some CA or super glue and some activator around, as well as some wood glue. I've taped everything just to make it so that things aren't flip-flopping everywhere to aid in alignment, but it doesn't actually get everything exactly where it needs to be, hence the super glue and activator, so that we can get this going as quickly as possible. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold it open here, kind of like if you're doing miters. I'm going to start actually with the activator. Just try to get it so that it's not touching where the super glue will end up actually living. I'm going to put a little bit on the ends, and then the super glue is just going to act like a clamp every inch or so. And then a little dab of wood glue in between each of those, a little line. Not much. Now at this point, fold everything over into place like this. I recommend having some sort of surface that you can hold it against. And before the super glue sets, we need to get our angles into place and held. Once we do that, we can kind of just hold it there till it all sets. There we go with that. It's all set. And at this point, we can grab our base. We're going to do this backwards here. So again, with the super glue, this time I'm not going to use activator. On a test piece, I tried it with activator, and while it worked, felt like it set up too quickly and caused me some problems. So again, just a little squiggle every inch or so. Dab wood glue. And remember, with the super glue, the race is on, right? The timer is running as soon as you lay it down. Make sure that your engraving, if you went with an engraving, is on the front, and get ready to line everything up in a very small amount of time. Hold it in place for a good, let's say 30 seconds or so, just to make sure that everything is where it needs to be and is going to stay there. If you had somebody else with you, you could actually get them to spray the activator for you while you held it. I'm working alone, so I'm just holding it. There we have it. Now we'll clean up the squeeze out.
There you have it. As we go to final shots, here are some final thoughts. I think this project turned out gorgeous, and its recipient is really going to like it. Mistakes were made along the way, but they provided opportunities to problem solve, and really everything worked out in the end. Project plans are available on my website, linked in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, have a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, and until next time, make sawdust. Not excuses.